It's your girl, your host, Jocelyn, y como siempre, I am so grateful you are here. A few days ago, I hosted my third Gratitude Circle, which is a free monthly guided journaling gathering I started here in LA that takes place around the full moon. And two of the prompts I shared was what previous understandings and beliefs about myself have I outgrown? And what new aspects of my life am I declaring I am ready for? A few people shared that they are essentially ready to embrace their creativity wholeheartedly and no longer hold their self back from creating what they feel called to create. And another person shared something that I really resonated with and ultimately is inspiring me to have this conversation with you now, which is a conversation I've been wanting to have. She shared that she has embraced her creativity wholeheartedly and she has been creating what she feels called to create. And now she finds herself ready and eager to allow the creating to be enough. She feels ready to no longer be placing the pressure of expectations on her creations and simply let them be. I, again, resonate with this so much as I have found myself becoming more and more accepting of how my creations are divinely unfolding and experiencing peace in letting go of any and all expectations. We actually somewhat touched on this in last week's episode 70 with photographer and music journalist Andres Tardio, which also affirmed to me that now is the time to have this conversation. In this podcast, we have touched on surrendering and letting go, but in this episode, we are going to touch on surrendering and letting go specifically when it comes to our creations, our creating, our creativity. And this is a very important conversation for us to have because we are all being called to tap into our power, to step into our power and liberate our creativity, our gifts, ourselves. And I am so grateful to sincerely be arriving to a grounded state of being where I am genuinely surrendering to the flow of what I am creating and no longer be so fixated on their end results, on their destination. I am so grateful to be approaching and creating and being in relationship with my visions differently. I am so grateful to liberate my creativity, my creations, and the creator within me. If you enjoyed this episode, give this podcast some love and support by heading on over to Apple Podcasts, searching the Starting with Gratitude page, scrolling down, finding the stars and comment box, waiting for you to share your rating and review. Reviews and ratings on Apple Podcasts really help podcasts expand their reach, expand their visibility. So again, help your girl out. Let's grow this podcast community together. And again, if you enjoy this episode and feel like it may be a resource to someone in your life, someone that you love, a homie, then share this episode with them. But without further ado, let's get into episode 71. If you follow me on social media and all my other platforms, such as my YouTube channel, my online shop, my website, my weekly newsletter, you probably have witnessed me create a lot over the past couple of years. Now, I'm not going to get into being someone who has a lot of ideas, and I'm not going to get into the journey of creating a plentitude of ideas, but I do want to share a bit about my creative journey when it comes to my YouTube channel and this podcast, which, by the way, I am going to definitely publish an episode in the near future about being someone who has a lot of ideas, because I am so grateful to be someone who does have a lot of ideas. And I'm so grateful that I no longer see it as a curse or as a burden, because I definitely used to. And I feel like that is also an important conversation for us to have. So we're going to have it. One thing I noticed as I started progressing in my healing and awakening is that my vision for my life began to increasingly become clear. I have a very clear vision for the future of this podcast, which I am so excited about. And I have a very clear vision for the future of my YouTube channel, as well as for all my other creations. But this clarity definitely contributed to my ego rushing and pressuring my podcast, my channel, my creations towards the visions that I have for them. My ego romanticized the creative journey. And when my journey wasn't reflecting the romanticism, 6 months later, 9 months later, 1 year later, it really dampened the light in my spirit and the passion in my heart. I created this podcast and redevoted myself to my YouTube channel around the same time at the beginning of 2021, and have been consistently creating content for them on a weekly basis ever since. Now, creating and managing a whole podcast on your own in and of itself is a whole lot. Creating and managing a whole YouTube channel on your own is a whole lot. And this whole lotness had my ego feeling entitled, that because I was doing a whole lot, then I was entitled to a whole lot and to receive a whole lot within a certain amount of time. But you know what's something that really contributed to this? One thing that really contributed to me pressuring my creations with expectation is the 6-month mark. I don't know if you all have seen this floating around on social media over the past couple of years. I mean, it's nothing new. I feel like I've seen the 6-month mark notion come up, years ago. But I've seen this brought up so many times, especially recently. And now when I see it, I wish I could tell everyone what I'm about to tell you now. What's been floating around is the notion that if you remain focused on you for 6 months, if you are putting in consistent work on your passions for 6 months, your whole life will change. In 6 months, your whole life will change. And last year, 6 months into pure tunnel vision on myself, my creativity, my goals, I really thought my life was going to be different. Like, I really believed the 6-month notion. I really believed that come 6 months, come the 6-month mark of pure focus and consistency, my whole life was going to change. And when that wasn't true for me, when that wasn't my reality, when that didn't happen for me, I really thought I was doing something wrong. Or maybe I wasn't doing the right thing, or I wasn't investing my time and energy wisely, or maybe I wasn't even actually in alignment with what's meant for me. Y'all, you know how many people out there have been focused and creating consistently for months, years, even decades, until the visions they've had in their mind comes to fruition? Like, this is really why you have to create out of pure love and pure passion. Because if you're creating out of the pure expectation that it will change your life in 6 months, or any other expectation that comes with a certain deadline or timeline or condition, you will absolutely give up. This is not to say that my life didn't change in 6 months, because it did, just not the way that my ego expected. I did have 6 months worth of weekly episodes, 6 months worth of weekly videos. I was 6 months better at podcasting, 6 months better at YouTubing, 6 months more skilled at editing and speaking and interviewing, 6 months into answering my callings, pursuing my passions, fulfilling my dreams, investing into myself, saying yes to my heart, creating and cultivating community, and liberating my creativity. That, my friends, is what matters. That is the fruit of our labor. That is what we should acknowledge and honor and be grateful for. When I started catching myself, doubting my creations because my ego's expectations weren't manifesting, I realized that I was dismissing all the beauty and all the blessings that I just mentioned 6 months of creative consistency gifted me. I was really dishonoring myself, my hard work, my creativity, my visions, my God that gifted me these visions, my growth. I was missing the whole point. I want to share one of my all-time favorite quotes that I actually came across not too long ago and really stuck to my spirit. The quote is, "The best thing the artist creates is the artist." And in this case, the best thing the creator creates is the creator. I'm going to publish a whole other episode where I specifically expand on my gratitude for honoring the journey more than the destination, but it feels important to touch on this here because we are really out here honoring and valuing the end result more than the process. When it's in the process where we learn, where we are transformed, where we heal, where we expand, where we become who we are trying to become, who we are meant to become. In me creating all the things that I am creating, the best thing that I create isn't my podcast or my YouTube channel or my social media content or my events or my businesses. Ultimately, the best thing that I create is the creator within me. The more that I've realized all of this, the more that I've reminded myself of it, especially in moments where I begin to doubt my investments of time and energy because my life isn't unfolding the way my ego expected it to. I remind myself of my intentions. I remind myself of my true love and passion for what I am creating. I remind myself that I know I am divinely called to create what I am creating. I remind myself of the beauty of the journey, the process, the becoming, the unfoldment. At my gratitude circle, when she shared that she has embraced her creativity wholeheartedly and she has been creating what she feels called to create, and now she finds herself ready and eager to allow the creating to be enough. She feels ready to no longer be placing the pressure of expectations on her creations and simply let them be. I responded, "Me too." And here I am affirming again, me too. Before we bring this conversation to a close, there are 4 last comments that I feel called to share with you, that I really want to share with you. I believe there are 2 ways we imprison our creativity. 1, by holding ourselves back, holding our inner creator back from our creativity and not expressing our creativity because of some form of fear. And 2, by placing expectations on our creativity. And therefore, there are 2 ways we liberate our creativity. 1, by allowing ourselves to be creative and express our creativity. And 2, by not burdening our creativity with expectation and allowing the creating itself to be enough. When we think about creating out of pure love and pure passion, we are creating with the highest of vibrations. When we create out of egoic expectation and frustration and lack and disappointment, etc., we are creating with dense, low vibrations. And all who experience what we create will feel, whether they are aware of it or not, the vibrations of which we created with. It's so important to be mindful of this. Also, when you are creating with high vibrations, you are energized when you create. And when you create with low vibrations, you become depleted and exhausted, and that absolutely contributes to someone giving up. Our minds always arrive to our destination before our life does, especially when you are a visionary. It takes longer for visions to manifest into matter, in the third dimension, in the physical realm. And that's just the truth. And it's not on us to really know when our life will arrive to what our mind sees, to what we envision. It's simply on us to hold the vision, trust the vision, and believe in ourselves as the seer. Lastly, creating always calls for trusting the divine unfoldment of both yourself as the creator and of your creations, as well as trusting divine timing. Aside from my own egoic expectations, I've had people on my YouTube channel comment that they're surprised that my channel hasn't blown up already. I've had people tell me that they're surprised that I'm not getting paid for my podcast yet. And you know what I've come to appreciate? Growing at a slower rate than at a faster rate. Because when you grow at a slower rate, you have time to integrate. You have time to ground yourself. You have time to really receive your growth in a way that is sustainable and digestible and nourishing. I've experienced the growing pains of growing too fast too soon. I've experienced manifesting more than I was ready for at the time, and all of it falling apart as a result of me not being able to fully receive it. There is absolutely a beauty to growing slowly and progressively. So I do trust in the divine unfoldment and divine timing of both myself as a creator and of my creations. I absolutely know that my channel will blow up and I will get paid for my podcast and beyond one day. And I am willing to be patient. I am willing to surrender. I am willing to remain consistent out of pure love and pure passion. Whew. This conversation felt really good to have. Even as I recorded this, it all just felt like a breath of fresh air. And I pray that something from this conversation resonated with you as a creator. And I want you to know that we are all creators. We are all a divine reflection of the creator that created all life. We are all a reflection of the divine intelligence that created all life. And that is the ultimate creator and creativity that exists within each and every single one of us. And I really hope that this conversation inspires you to honor that inner creator, to honor what it is that you feel called to create, what it is that you may have already been creating, and you may have found yourself, feeling down because of your own expectations for what you're creating or for yourself as a creator. I pray that you're walking away from this conversation feeling more clarity, more calm, more confidence, more comfort. And again, if you enjoyed this conversation, head on over to Apple Podcasts and search the Starting with Gratitude page. Scroll down, find the comment box and stars waiting for you to share a rating and review. And share this conversation with the fellow creators that you have in your circle, in your life, that you feel may benefit from hearing these words. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you, and I'm so grateful for you being here. And I really look forward to seeing you, to speaking with you in the next episode. Peace, love, so much gratitude. Your girl, your host, Jocelyn.